Hello, everybody, and welcome to the colony, the place where, if you understand, then you're part of our family, the colony. Day 8, date 24, 2019. Please close the door on the way in. Thank you. And welcome again. We have a lot to discuss on this episode. Well, not really episode, but this gathering of the colony. Very interesting. Very opinionated. Also, I know we just did a show where it was an opinionated show, and I guess you could classify this as another one. Indeed. Because it's dealing with a topic that exists today, but it isn't tackled. Right, darling. A lot of people don't tackle it the way they should tackle it, because a lot of people don't tackle it the way they should tackle it. But fortunately, I think I came across something that may be interesting about that. And I'll let you know what it is. And we all gonna listen, but it's very complicated at the same time. Nonetheless, before we get into it, y'all know that we start every colony with the Rashid Portal Passage. And the Portal Passage is one of our footsteps that we take to enter the conversation that we bestow on a colony. And please get a pencil and paper, because I have one, and I'm gonna tell you something about those notes also. We found ourselves getting a pen and paper of our own because of something that we're involved in that I'm going to share with you guys on the discussion of this gathering of the colony, and you'll see what it is as we go on. But nonetheless, let's start the Rashid Portal Passage, and please have notes handy, as I just stated. And here we go. I come from a small world. The world in which I reside now, along with its sufferings, will not change me. You understand? Will not change me. It's important that we don't change. And I heard from ear that homosexuals really like that. I come from a small world. The world in which I reside now, along with its sufferings, will not change me. I hear that a lot of gay people really like that, and any homosexuals or bisexuals or whatever your preference may be, who really like that. I appreciate that, because see, I did it not just for you guys. I did it for everybody, because I wanted it to be universal. That's why I created that saying, because it makes sense that you realize that we live in society today that's trying to tell us to be a certain way, tell us that this is the right way to be, but we ourselves know who we are. And because of that, we're in danger, because their way can change us. Then we're thus robbing ourselves of who we are. So we try to stay away from such attributes. So I'm glad that you guys really like that, the Rashid Portal poem. A lot of you, the gay community, I'm glad you guys like that, because I feel really strong about those words right there. I feel really strong about it, because we can't let the world change us. We know who we are. I'm not gay per se, but whoever's homosexual, you could be anything you name. If you crushed in spirit, confused, depressed, what else, sweetie? And just distraught, disgusted with the way things are going on, that this is where you belong, because this is where we discuss it at. We discuss it on a colony. So I want you guys to understand that this is the colony, and we come here, and this is where you belong if you're in such disarray. Now, continuing on with the Rashid Porter poem is another step. We only take 2 steps, and then we enter. Now here's the Porter poem. It states, "My eyes see, but I am blind. My heart beats, but I am dead. With my hands I touch, but I cannot feel. Nonetheless, we're underwater, and yet we breathe. And yet we breathe." So let's start breathing. And let's be thankful that we can breathe, though we're in such disarray, like we just brought out, that we see but we don't see. We know our heart beating because we're alive, but we know we're dead. We know we're dead. You know? We know we're dead. We touch, but we can't feel. The emotions in this world are really tangled. So we could touch all we want, but do we feel what we're touching? That involves emotions that's really mangled right now in the world today, and prevalent, and supposed to be normal. Surprisingly, supposed to be normal, but we know around here we beg to differ about that than being normal around here. Now, here's a discussion on the colony. The colony today, the discussion we're going to discuss is atheism versus Christianity. I'm going to try not to make this really long. If it is long, then I think we need it in some way. Now, of course, the definition for atheism is an individual who don't believe in the supernatural. They don't believe in anything of godly qualities whatsoever. They don't believe in any kind of Satan, anything spiritual. Atheists, for the most part, do not believe in such a lifestyle, in such a mind frame to go around thinking a higher spiritual power other than man. They don't believe in anything godly or spiritual whatsoever. These people are called atheists. Now, of course, it's spiritual people who we believe different. We came across a huge debate on YouTube that really captured my attention, and I wanted to bring it to the colony. And we're going to listen and talk about this debate. And that's when I got my notes that I told you guys. I'm going to explain to you guys later on that we found ourselves getting notes because we came across something. It's very important when you are on social media, in my opinion. This is my opinion. It's really, really very important that you guys get up. When you're on social media, always have a pencil and paper on standby, no matter what you're doing on social media. Because a pencil and paper go with social media. It goes with the computer. It goes with your cell phone. It does. Some people feel better taking notes on their devices, and that's fine. That's fine also. But when I think it's more mobile or portable when it's written down, because it's easy to get to, and you don't have to worry about going in folders or so forth like that, or pushing any buttons for that matter. That's just my opinion of it, that you can get to it really, really quickly without the need to just navigate through data to get the information that you stored for yourself. And I think having a book or paper around is very convenient when you're on social media. So I got notes, and I encourage you guys to get notes when you look at this colony gathering. So we found ourselves taking notes. I don't have that many notes so far on it. But I'll tell you where we stand on that. But for now, drifting away, y'all know that on the colony we have a section that I created for the Amish woman. Every time we come here, I have a different Amish woman that I artistically brought to life, and we have a new one. Yes, we have a new one, and the question is, who is she? What's her name? How did I come up with her to begin with? Where am I getting all these Amish women from? How do I get these Amish women at all? There's no real clear-cut answer the way I can answer that. Because, see, one thing about art is undefinable. If you ask somebody what's the definition of art, you could go to Wika, you could go to Encyclopedia, you could go anywhere and get the definition of art. But there's really no kind of definition for it. It's undefinable. Nobody really knows, because one man's definition of art is another person's objective. It's like one person's opinion of it is different than the other. So who's to say that Wicca is the main answer or common denominator to what is art? It's good to go to Wicca because it sets us a foundation that we can all go to. Okay, it's written here, so let's just go with the foundation. So that makes things easier. That makes things a lot easier when you can go to a place and get the foundation. So I can't really tell you how I'm coming up with these Amish women. I really can't tell you. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, sweetie. We don't know. I just sit down and I imagine an Amish woman, and we call them Amish, but they're Rashi's colony women, because Amish, they have nothing to do with the colony. They have their own faith and all, but I admire them in such a high esteem. So we clear cut it and just call them Amish. They're Rashi colony women. And I can't really go into detail of where they come from, how I get the idea of creating them. I just know that I do. It's in me. I could just keep going on and on and on. With creating these Amish women. And they're all different. With different names and different likings. You know, maybe I'll put them all together and we'll do something on a colony one day about them. But nonetheless, needless to say, without hesitation, here is the latest Amish woman or girl, which I think is a girl. I really think this is a girl. So here is Lizzie. Bring Lizzie up. And this is Lizzie, everybody. Say hello to Lizzie. Now, she looks she looks very young. She looks like 9 years old. She does. She looks about 9 years old. Her hair is a little bit shredded wheat, rusty, like rugged a little bit. It's not, usually you see the Amish women around here with really straight and prolonged hair. Well, Lizzie has a little bit of frizz. I ain't going to say too much frizz, but there's a little shagginess there. And a beautiful blue eyes. And, of course, it's going to be a round nose because I'm sucking for round noses. And Lizzie is our newest Amish woman. Like I told you guys before, I don't know how I come up with these Amish women. It's a mystery to me, man. very spiritual people they are, I have to respect these people. Primarily because whatever I'm going through in life, whether good or bad, whether negative or positive, I know it's a group of people here that have their own problems. Amish people have their own problems. But yet and still, they're not going through exactly the bullshit I go through, that we go through, and like if we're working for an asshole at work or whatever, or got to deal with a neighbor that's a prick. Basically, all their neighbors are they self. You know, they have their own community, and there's so many of them. You know, must be an incredibly different kind of life. And you can sit back and say, well, if they have a problem with one of their neighbors, they could go to somebody and talk to somebody in charge. And that's a hell of a thing to have than being around neighbors now, and all we have is the police department, which we appreciate very much. But the fundamental problems that we have with our neighbors, they don't got to worry about. And it's just showing that there's people here on the planet Earth that can do that if they really want to. That can isolate themselves, live in spirituality, and all reaching for one goal. I'm not going to pay attention to the shows that have them, they wasn't happy with their community, so they left. You know, it's so many shows like that. They left and want to be part of us. That's all they saying. It's TLC bullshit. I don't really follow that. I don't pay that shit no attention. The point of the matter is, they achieve something that's really unique amongst people. And I know there's a lot of groups out like that, but not too many. Not too many. And when you look at them, you say they're white. They're not white. They're not Caucasian. They're more Danish. But they're not Caucasian. Well, yeah, Danish or not Sweden. I forgot. But they're not Caucasian. They're not like that. So don't say white and all of this stuff, because you're absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Their nose is too round for that. You're gonna get tactical. Nose is too round for that. But the point of the matter is, I respect what they accomplished. Rather, they have shows of them leaving the community and it looks like they kissing mainstream's ass. I want to be part of you. The women like, I want to be a whore, and the guys like, I want to drink beer and act stupid and all this shit. It's all bullshit. I don't pay that no attention. They achieve something very unique that should be a lesson to people in general, that what man can do if they really want to, but they don't want to. So we live in this shit. Not saying that they're free, exempt from their problems, but by damn, I mean, you know, y'all get the point what I'm trying to say. So I respect that. In any group, I respect that. So, 3 cheers. Give it up for Lizzie, the newest Amish girl around the colony, and expect another Amish girl on the next gathering of our colony. Okay? Alright, now here we go. Continuing on with this atheist versus spirit Christians. It's atheist versus Christians. I have my notes here to take some notes just in case I come across something very interesting. Now we can You could take a verse from this debate and make a show out of the one verse. You can do that. If you're very keen, if you're a very keen person in literature or philosophy or hearing textiles, you can make a whole show out of just a sentence. You can. And in this debate, I'm looking for that. There is a possibility that we may come across that. So I'm excited about it. So I got a pen and paper. And I'm sitting here looking at it. I want you guys to tune in also. And the thing about it is, what's that, sweetie? You say something? Wait 1 second, guys. What is? That's what I say. Philosopheric gender, philosopheric conventions. Not necessarily generic, but you can, if you just have to be keen to start this thing. Yeah, you have to be keen to start this thing. And I think we're keen enough to start, but that's why I have this pen and paper here, because I think we're going to come across something, because it says it's a very good debate. At least that's what the uploader highlighted, that it's a very, very good debate. So I'll be cutting in while they're talking just to discuss some manners about it, and you guys listen. Now, where we are so far in the debate, the first one up is the atheist. So it's the atheist versus the Christians. And the atheist is discussing his point of view of why there's no such thing as God. They didn't call the Christians up yet. So I didn't get anything yet for notes, for private notes. I didn't get anything yet. Nonetheless, let's continue on. And y'all follow through with me. Now, like I said, I'll be cutting it off and talking during the presentation, just to highlight some features that I want to discuss. But here it is right here, and sit back and relax, and let's check it out.
Internet expands knowledge. Religion, especially Christianity, can be extremely confusing on what's true. All of them have different demands on a Christian and different ways to get to heaven. Faith, good works, whatever. They have all different doctrines and believe in things that other sects would consider only an apostate would do. Speaking in tongues, not dancing, whatever. What would make Christianity the coolest religion? The coolest religion. God could send a prophet ever so often down to earth when Christians would be misinterpreting some of their texts and would change the Bible verses so it would reflect more of the modern moralities. Eliminate slavery, for example, in the Bible. Or God himself could rearrange the text in all the Bibles all at once. I think that's a double. I think I said that before. Would a perfectly just God tell his parents to kill their son if he is insubordinate? No, of course not. Would this God kill 50,000 people? Almost. Okay, missing a slide there too? Okay.
It's not right there. See, the thing that gets me about that is that you're not paying attention to the situation. You're paying attention to the act itself. It's like saying, my child did something bad in school, so I'll punish my child when he got home. Somebody focus on, you're punishing your child, but they're not going to focus on the reason for the punishment. When you look at things like that, it's best to look at the whole aspect of the situation, why it was done. So you would never understand that unless you was put in that situation right then and there. But it's interesting to see so many atheists point out things like, but you punish your kids, but you don't know what, the back story of, if you was there, you would understood. Don't you think Abraham was smart enough They say, God, I don't want to sacrifice my son because this, that, and the other. When God told his prophet, his people, to burn people with their own shit, God turned around. His people turned around and said, God, it will stink too much. The smell will be too much. And then God said, you know what? You're right. So He makes arrangements for His people. So something like killing your own son, if it didn't make sense, don't you think Abraham would have said so? See, we don't know the background story of things, but atheists are so quick to point out highlight all of the incidents without getting the whole fortified version of it. And that's troublesome. But nonetheless, here we go.
In a nearby village, just because a small group of Israelites...
And the Christian, they didn't come up yet. Now, it's the atheist in an auditorium. Let me set the stage. They're in an auditorium, and they have two sides on stage. They have 4 people on one side, 4 people on the other. 4 people on the left-hand side are atheists. The 4 people on the right-hand side are Christians. So one of the people on the left-hand side, the atheist side, is up talking now. And they're in a big audience. So let's continue on.
So we're returning the Ark to the Covenant to its rightful place. Who looked at the Ark? 50,000 people, innocent. In a nearby village, gone. Totally innocent. No, a righteous God would not do that. Would God endorse slavery? Could a perfect God make something perfect? Could make something imperfect, like humans? No, if He was perfect, He couldn't. Would a just God punish humans indefinitely for finite sins? No. You're way ahead of us there. You're going to have to... Yes, that's okay. Are you on 58? You don't have numbers there.
He's having a tremendous amount of trouble. He has 2 screens on the wall behind him. And the guy who's working with him, who's showing the pictures when he's talking, is doing the most lousiest job I ever seen. This guy should be fired. And I know for a fact that after this guy really caught it. He took him backstage and really let him have it, because he's doing a terrible job with keeping up with the pictures and content while he's talking about these denouncing the true God. It's to the point you could say maybe there's God's spirit doing that to you because you're atheist. It's that bad. But nonetheless, here it is.
Why did the scholars who were deciding on which books to be included in the Bible not include the books that were supposedly inspired by God as well? Why would a particular God want to destroy the world again during the apocalypse and condemn good people all around the world, even those who have never heard of Christianity, that have good moral lives? 1 minute. One more time? 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. By believing in it all, I'm just going to go straight to the conclusion so you can explain the PowerPoint for me. By believing in an all-powerful deity paralyzes one thinking and cripples the choices you have to make to escape a false reality that is self-centered and apocalyptic. Looking at the truth requires courage and intellectual honesty of finding the best argument against your own. This is the holy grail of skepticism. If you're not willing to examine the argument, then you have to admit that you're not willing to find the truth. No one can ignore billions of other people believing differently and justify that your God is the only one. If you question that, if you question what you believe, and more importantly, why you believe it, you just might extricate yourself from the supernatural world of belief and discover the wonder of naturalistic world without ghosts, demons, devils, magical thinking, or malicious gods. Live well in this world, the only one we know for sure that exists. At this time, the other side will have 10 minutes to cross-examine.
Okay, now I guess this is the Christian viewpoint on the matter.
Thank you, Bruce. You ready to go? Going first? Timer ready? Yeah, I'll go first. Bruce, you're
Christian talking.
Do you agree with Krauss and Sagan that we're stardust?
Pretty much.
Okay, pretty much.
Well, where do we come from? I don't believe God proved us into existence, no.
Now, as an atheist, from your perspective, would you agree with Krauss and Sagan when they say human beings are stardust?
We evolved naturally from material men.
Okay, and so it's a godless universe, no governance, no guidance, matter in motion.
I didn't say governance.
Please try to speak into the microphone. No personal governance and order.
I could agree with that. Personal, sure.
So
Come on, yeah. What are you backing up for?
Human beings being stardust. What's wrong with eating babies?
Because we have a mind, we've evolved to have thoughts, and we care about other people, and we can.
Bruce, what's morally wrong with eating babies?
We can put ourselves in other shoes. That's why we don't kill babies.
Okay, ready?
We have evolved to accept morality.
Over evolutionary time, Bruce. I'm going to ask you a question here. Over evolutionary time.
That's a Christian.
Values risen up over evolutionary time. You have stardust that likes to hurt people and inflict harm, and you have stardust over here that wants to do good and treat others well. Why are you arbitrarily choosing one value over the other as
That's
stardust?
an invalid question, Jeff. That's an invalid question.
It's not an invalid question.
There are not two different things going on.
There's two values risen up, Bruce.
There are not two values because at that particular time no one was around to have values.
No, Bruce, today, sure, there are two values risen up. 1 second. There are two values risen up. And so the question is, what's wrong with stardust bumping into stardust?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with stardust bumping into
Could you
stardust.
answer the
Atheist.
Well, I might actually defer that question, but I don't see stars bumping into
Atheist.
stars. What's your question, Jeff?
Stardust. You said human beings are essentially stardust.
Christian is the one that's asking the question.
I think that you're saying we are stardust, a lot more than stardust.
Okay, Bruce, you still haven't answered the question. What's wrong with eating
Do
babies?
have the I can't have the option to defer to their part. What's wrong with it is that you actually support it because you read the Bible. This is the insanity of belief, that you believe something that it's okay to do because God tells you to do it. Do you believe in killing
Bruce,
babies?
where in the Bible does God say to eat babies?
The reason we don't
Atheist, close this computer.
many verses. All right, to skip a thousand reasons, there is one very simple reason.
Second atheist.
Because we will no longer be. That would be the end of humanity if we all thought it was a good idea.
From an atheistic perspective, what's wrong with that?
There is no atheistic perspective.
You're assuming value and dignity in these human beings that you're saying we ought to protect. As a Christian, I can justify that claim of human value and dignity in babies, but you're assuming it. I'm asking you to provide a justification as to why it's wrong to eat babies from an atheistic perspective.
Okay.
Give me a justification.
So three things. There is no atheistic perspective. Being an atheist.
Are you an atheist?
Yes. There is no atheistic perspective.
Are you giving me your perspective?
I apologize every single time.
Would you like
the middle of my sentence keeps interrupting the beginning of yours.
Let me consider it and let me answer. This is my time to ask questions. Your time to answer.
Give the time to answer.
Okay.
Answer the question.
Go ahead, please.
I said nothing about values. I put it so simply as we do not eat babies because we would be no longer.
And what's wrong with that from an atheistic perspective? That's what I've asked you a second time now.
So I'll answer it this time?
Okay.
Okay, good. There's no atheistic perspective. The fact that I do not believe one's claim that there is a supernatural God of any sort does not guide my morals in any way.
So your beliefs, your worldview does not guide your living
My
in the
worldview,
world.
yes. The fact that I'm not convinced that any supernatural being exists has nothing to do with it.
Okay, we've evolved in a cosmically purposeless universe. And now here we have babies. And you're suggesting that we should do good to these babies and not violate them and hurt them.
Yes.
In a universe where there is no God, no ultimate standard of justice, I'm asking you to provide me an intelligible answer besides just preference. Because I don't want to or we would die.
I didn't give preference.
That provides the preconditions necessary for intelligibility to make that claim mean something. Your claim is that there is no God, no ultimate purpose, meaning governance.
I did not claim there's no God.
So you're saying, as an atheist, you accept God's existence now?
No, I'm not convinced that one exists. That's not a claim that he does not.
So in a universe where we used to be fish, why is it wrong to violate a baby? And don't give me, and this is what I'm not looking for, I'm looking for a justification. I'm looking for a justification. A justification
Second Christian talking.
The idea of logic is really coming from the frontal lobe. Is that correct? And that you don't believe that people have souls, they have brains.
Correct. No, I'm not a dualist. A dualist believes in a mind separate than the brain. I believe that our mind is our brain.
Right. And you obviously believe in the some sort of Big Bang.
That's our best explanation right now, but I'm open to new explanations if something comes along. That's what skeptics do.
So in light of that, let me ask you this question. You gave us some pretty horrible atrocities for us to consider on this screen. Do you think the people who did those things were wrong in doing those things?
It doesn't matter if they think they were wrong or not. They did them justified by religious leaders at the time.
I'm asking if you think those things that you showed that were so horrible, do you think they were wrong?
Of course.
Do you think those people should be held accountable for the wrong things that they do?
He's talking about earlier they showed Jim Jones, how y'all know Jim Jones, what he did to his people, along with other cults who fabricated the scriptures and led to a mass suicide, along with this Christian who went and killed his family because he said God told him to do it. And there were stories like that he showed on the screen earlier. So now he's asking them were they wrong and getting to a common denominator about it. So let's carry on.
Sure.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. If we're just matter in motion, if we're just molecules...
We are not matter in motion.
If we're molecules flying through space...
We're not molecules.
If we're the end result of a Big Bang, because there was nothing, there was a Big Bang, and now we're sitting at the table, how can people be held accountable for their actions any more than a piece of shrapnel can be held accountable for landing where it lands when the explosion goes off? I'm wondering, how do you take that leap from being naturalistic to holding people accountable and stating that they are absolutely wrong for the things they do?
I'll just say one thing, that we live in a social contract. We live within a social contract. That's one way.
The shrapnel does not make decisions. We do. We realize that we are self-aware. The shrapnel is not. That's why we don't look at the shrapnel to abuse it afterwards. We look at the humans that made the decisions and fire the shot.
Right, but if the mind that is mechanical, if it's just something that is material, sure,
and we don't need to get into
I mean, do you see the difficulty?
No, because...
No, I don't. Because I think people would see the difficulty there, but maybe you don't.
Right.
But I think it's kind of obvious.
2 minutes.
It's the reason that we do govern ourselves, that we do live in the social contract, that we to just avoid all of the obviousness that we are a social species, that we are tribal in nature. We do come together, we protect each other, we want to live, we have a desire to sustain ourselves. Avoiding all of the obvious, if you don't mind, I'll get a question. Avoiding all of the obvious along those lines. There are actual rational reasons. We can use empirical data to show that it is a bad idea to run around killing each other. Because if we all think that it's okay to just run around killing each other, we no longer exist.
That's sufficient. I have one question for Bruce. In the closing statement of your debate, how do we know what is true? You said, I understand now through the process of looking at psychology on a very amateur level that we can be wrong big time on any of our thoughts, no matter what our personal experiences might be. Do you believe that you can be wrong about any of your thoughts?
Of course I do, but I have a confidence level.
The Christian asking the atheist.
I have one last question, Bates. Can you be wrong about everything you said tonight? Can you be wrong about everything you said tonight?
I do not believe I am wrong.
That's not my question.
My
Yes or no?
confidence level... You see, this is what the problem is, Si. You deal with absolutes.
Right.
There's a range of confidence that people have.
Are you saying there are no absolutes?
There is a range of confident
Thank you.
absolutes. There is another word game he's playing. Do I have any time, Christopher?
Christians interrogating the atheist.
He completely ignores. He's going to say, do you know that anything is true? And I'm going to say, well,
Atheist talking.
technically no. I believe it's true because I have confidence that it's true. I have confidence that Sean's
So you have faith,
Bruce, you have faith? It's confidence. Bruce, you have faith.
Okay.
There's 5 different definitions of faith.
Can I answer?
I do not have faith. If you define faith as time, gentlemen, time. Just so the audience understands, both sides
Now we have the Christian is about to give their argument of why God exists.
It is hot in here. Don't start the time yet. Don't start the time yet. Whew. Someone control the air in here? She has the fan. Get her! No.
Clock's ticking.
All right. Thank you so much for the privilege of speaking with you tonight and the honor presented to us to be able to represent Jesus Christ and His gospel in the context of a debate which will assume things that only comport with His revelation to humanity and the biblical worldview. I would like to humbly point out the context of our debate. We're all debating while standing at the precipice of eternity.
One thing about Christians, they're so confident when they're going against atheists in a theocratical way like this. Is that the way you pronounce that word? Theocratic? Well, in a way like this, they're very confident. You know, in this judicial setting. They're very, but if it was on that's what I'm saying, if it was on the street, you would think the atheists are on top of shit. It would be like the atheist knows more than a Christian on the street. But once you get organized inside of a systematic pendulum like this, that you'll see the atheist shrunk and the Christian stands really mighty. In most cases, not all. I just wanted to point that out because this is a Christian talking, and you notice that he's very confident than when the atheist was up there giving his viewpoint on why they think that God doesn't exist. But nonetheless, let's continue.
The subject of tonight's discussion, the existence and attributes of God, has a dramatic impact not only on our present circumstances, in our ability to provide a meaningful foundation for all that we'll be appealing to this evening. Absolute standards of ethics, necessary, unchanging, and universal laws of thought, the ethical responsibility to not choke each other to win tonight, or to lie, and a uniform creation where the principle of induction can be assumed. But we are in whether or not we have peace with or are reconciled with our God, who is the central reference point and foundation of all questions regarding truth and knowledge. He is the necessary precondition for our debate this evening. The great gift of tonight's debate is that both panels freely admit to representing a particular worldview. We're not pretending neutrality in this discussion, and neither are our opponents. We are unashamedly committed to Jesus Christ as God come in the flesh, the one who died for the sins of His people, conquered death, revealed Himself in conscience, creation, and Scripture, took on flesh, dwelled among us, and revealed Himself to us. And apart from whom this debate wouldn't even be possible, nor have a coherent foundation. From a biblical and philosophical perspective, neutrality is a myth. From a biblical perspective, neutrality is a myth in the context of who we are. Romans chapter 1 says in verse 18 that the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. Think about what that's saying. It says God's revelation to us is that all of us, not just Bruce and our atheist friends, but all of us before God are rebels against our Creator. And all are, because of sin, suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. That's the context from a biblical perspective. Jesus says you're either with me or against me. There's no neutrality with Jesus. From a philosophical perspective, all of us have a particular view of reality, and epistemology, how we can know what we know, and ethics, how we should live our lives. You've seen that just a moment ago. And before you this evening is a collision of worldviews. Each panel has professed beliefs about God.
We do. Excuse me. We do around here believe in neutrality when it comes to Bible literature. I understand he says there's no neutrality with Jesus. I understand it. But some circumstances around here, we believe in neutrality with Christ. I just wanted to bring that out.
The world, origins, how knowledge is possible, the nature of human beings, human value and dignity, and our responsibilities to one another. Our opponents profess to reject the existence of their Creator. They claim that we live in a worldview, I believe that it's important to ask the question, is what we are saying consistent with what we are standing on? Let me say that again, please, humbly. Is what we are saying consistent with what we are standing on? In other words, is what we are doing and what is coming out of our mouths consistent with the underlying worldview that we profess? In examining a particular person's worldview, it's important to watch for arbitrariness, mere personal opinions, or unfounded prejudicial conjecture. For example, saying that we shouldn't eat babies because that would be the end of the human race. So what? From an atheistic perspective, we're stardust. You're assuming what you have not proven. It's arbitrary. And watch for inconsistency. Is the person acting consistently with that platform or worldview that they say they're standing on? Is one side forced to abandon their platform or worldview in an attempt to borrow truths and concepts from the others that do not comport with their own professed view of the world? Let's start with the biblical worldview. The biblical worldview fundamentally says that God, who declares the end from the beginning, who is the sovereign in the heavens above and on the earth below, and does according to his will in the heavens above and the earth below, that God, the eternal God, from eternity into eternity, the first and last, that God, who is all-powerful, all-knowing, just, and love, has revealed himself in creation, conscience, and specifically in the person of his Son. God has spoken. We have a revelational epistemology. We can know what we know because fundamentally God has talked to us. Bruce was wondering a moment ago about how can people be sure that we know what's going on in his head. Well, the biblical claim is that God is all-powerful, all-knowing. He created all of us, including Bruce, and knows what he's thinking. A definition of God. Question 4 of the Westminster Shorter Catechism. This is for all my Presby bros, Reformed Baptists here, to show solidarity. Question 4 of the Westminster Confession. God is spirit, is a spirit infinite, eternal, and unchangeable in his being, wisdom, power, holiness, justice, goodness, and truth. Our argument this evening to our esteemed opponents is that the existence of the triune God and his attributes are the necessary precondition for intelligible experience. Apart from him, human value and dignity is an illusion. Laws of logic are not necessary and unchanging, and science is rendered useless apart from God. Our argument this evening is that apart from the triune God revealed in the Scriptures, you cannot provide a meaningful justification for claims to knowledge. You cannot prove anything, nor can you provide the preconditions necessary for all that we take for granted. The uniformity in nature, laws of logic, and ethics. That is to say, we are arguing transcendentally. We are arguing, to quote Dr. Bonson, from the impossibility of the contrary. In my opening, I'd like to direct your attention to 3 specific points of contact to demonstrate that apart from the Christian God, you cannot know or prove anything. Number 1, the uniformity in nature. From a biblical perspective, God is all-powerful. God is sovereign. He upholds all things by the word of his power. Hebrews chapter 1. Specifically, we have revelation from God, contact with God. The jailer has stepped down in his time, though we're chained to the wall. He has stepped down and touched us. He has told us that he carries the universe along to its intended destination. Christians have a meaningful warrant or justification to appeal to the principle of induction. Now, my friends, both atheists and Christians alike this evening, please pay close attention to this, because everything that we're doing tonight, including what you're appealing to right now, depends upon this central point. The principle of induction, in popular parlance, the uniformity in nature. That the future will be like the past. All inference, all science, all language is based upon fundamentally the uniformity in nature. And that future experience will be congruent with past experience. And by the way, this is not a trick. Bertrand Russell, one of the most famous atheists in history, who wrote the book, Why I'm Not a Christian, also wrote a book in 1812 called, or 1912, Problems of Philosophy. He brought up the issue of induction in his book and demonstrated that
think you mean the present.
Our atheist friends who believe we live in a naturalistic, materialist universe provide a meaningful justification for science and logic that the future will be like the past, that the next 5 seconds will be like the past. And appealing to past experience, according to Bertrand Russell, one of the
present.
famous atheists in history, is circular. It does not provide a meaningful justification. Christians can provide the preconditions for intelligibility as to why we can do science and how we can do science. Second point, laws of logic. Fundamentally, in the Christian worldview, we know that God is spirit. God is immaterial and unchanging. He is eternal. To engage in contradiction is to engage in the nature of lying. God, the scriptures say, cannot lie. To contradict yourself is to lie about what is true and about reality. Christians, listen closely, have a justification as to why we can appeal and how we can appeal to universal, unchanging, invariant, necessary laws of logic. We have the preconditions in the worldview that can make sense of that, and we have an answer for the moral requirement to be honest and have integrity when discussing proof or reason. Laws of logic, based in the very character of God. God cannot lie. God's thinking is consistent and rational. Our thinking is to be a reflection of His thinking. As His image, we are supposed to be like Him. God is not the author of confusion. Number 3, ethics. And this was assumed a moment ago. For a biblical worldview, we can have human value and dignity at the bottom of our system because all people, including atheists, are image of God and have value and meaning because they reflect the infinite value and goodness of the Creator. Human beings, all human beings, have value and dignity and worth by nature of being image of God. God has spoken. He says, love your neighbor. That is to say, as Christians, we actually have a basis to say we morally ought to love our neighbor rather than hate our neighbor. From an atheistic perspective, standing on their worldview, they have no justification as to why we ought to love our neighbor rather than hate our neighbor. God is love. Love does no harm to its neighbor. We are image of God. Jesus says all the law and the prophets are based upon love for God, love for neighbor. Why do we not steal? We love our neighbor and we love God. Why do we not murder? Because we love God and love our neighbor. Love does no harm to its neighbor. We are image of God. The atheist claims the Bible is contradictory. Well, from an atheist perspective, so what? Our ancestors were fish. Religion is based on superstition. So what?
I just want to stop right there for a second. I do disagree with saying so what. When they say the Bible is contradictory, it is. But that doesn't classify it as being something because it's contradictory. You know, you're getting two you're getting two minuses, and you're coming out with another minus. I mean, you're getting nothing from that. I mean, it's the same thing as just nitpicking. I mean, everything is contradictory. I mean, everything. When you get up in the morning, you know what you're going to do. I mean, you can't really pinpoint that as being something. I just wanted to bring that out. Nonetheless, here we go.
Students of bacteria aren't obligated to worry about graduate school. Professed Christians have done evil things in history. From an atheistic perspective, so what? What African apes do to each other is morally irrelevant. There is evil and suffering in the world. So what? Richard Dawkins said, the universe as it exists displays there really is no good, no evil, there is only blind claim the Bible is full of evil. Brothers and sisters, friends, tonight, are you ready? So what?
He's saying, so what, so what, so what? And need I remind you guys that he's on stage with a suit. He has a black suit, and he has a t-shirt under the suit that says, so what? And he's representing Christianity. I don't think, see, this is why atheists exist today. So what isn't an answer. So obviously he's going with so what, because it's on his t-shirt. And this giving potholes to the atheists for questioning. And I just think that's irrelevant for him to go in that direction, keep saying so what, so what. No, the atheists want answers. You know.
So what? Nothing is ultimately evil in an atheistic worldview. We're just doing what Stardust does in a godless universe under these conditions. I want you, please, to tonight ask the question over and over and over to each side, both the Christians and the atheists. I want you to ask this very simple question. Are you ready? So what? When claims are made, if so what is a philosophically devastating critique of your worldview, it is not a worldview you should hold on to any longer. In honor of Dr. Bonson, he said in his debate with Everett Tavish, the atheist is satisfied to ignore the need for intellectual justification and explanation, the need to gain consistency within his total beliefs, and the need to demonstrate systematic cogency in his overall perspective on the world, man, and values. In this light, atheism, for all its proud boast of scholarly adequacy, is a kind of...
Well, even though that's his slogan, so what, it still shouldn't have been brought to the forefront, sweetie. In my opinion, it should have been something else than so what. Because subliminally, they're going to put that in their head, even though he's justifying it. You know, so what is the last thing you want to harbor when you're trying to bring the light of the existence of God and spirituality. You don't want to put that in your campaign at all. Exactly. It's a negative kind of concept to conjure up to try to, I'm not going to say manipulate, but try to re-justify them knowing that God exists permanently or for truthful or just realistically. I think that so what is negative. He shouldn't use that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that this, that, and the other, but I'm sure he could have came up with something else than saying so what for his slogan. You know.
Intellectual adolescence, which refuses to think hard, face the facts, and be tough-minded. Atheists live, when all is said and done, by blind and contradictory faith about how we know and what the nature of reality is. Atheism is arbitrary and irrational, all the while dressing up in the costume of rationality. Atheism, philosophically speaking, is much closer to superstition, undisciplined reflection, and wishful thinking than to science. That was my shout-out to Bonson. Three things I want to humbly present to you tonight. The claim is not, listen closely, the claim tonight is not that atheists don't do science, don't appeal to logic, and don't have an ethical system. The claim is that they cannot
But saying, so what is adolescence? You see the point? You can't do, well, alright, well.
That apart from him you cannot prove anything, and that we can prove God from the existence of the contrary. I want you to think tonight, if you would, with me, this is for Christians and for atheists. I love, by the way, atheists, you're my favorite. But I like it.
He just said atheist is his favorite. Now, is it me, or does he sound like an atheist himself? I'm not being a Doubting Thomas here, but dude, he does sound like an atheist for some reason. He don't sound like a Christian. He's not coming off like a Christian. He's coming off like an atheist. That's the way it sounds. That's the way it sounds. I didn't take any. Alright, I'm gonna stop it here because see. Okay, I didn't take any points to discuss on my notes off of this debatable discussion that we came across here. I'm not going to necessarily classify it and file it as a waste of time, mind you, but I'm not getting anything from his judgmental point of view that God exists. I'm not getting anything. I understand where he's coming from, but it's kind of really hard to understand where he's coming from. At the same time, I'm not getting anything, any kind of clerical overlook of his view standard of him exclamating that God exists. Both sides are doing the same thing to me. Bringing up historical facts that's not facts at his best, and I can't really pick up what he's trying to what he's navigating the conversation to what conclusion, that God exists. So I'll leave it like that. I didn't get anything in my notes whatsoever of things that I can use. I just like simple talk. I don't, sometimes it gets complicated. Sometimes it gets mind bending because some words are unfamiliar to us around here. Some words are unfamiliar to us. So maybe it's just us. I don't know. Yet and still, I do understand, but he still, in my opinion, in my observing their debate, that he's not coming off as a Christian for some reason. I'm not seeing any kind of viewpoint. I'm not saying he should say, because the average Christian will come off and saying, look at the universe and the stars, you see. They can't just happen by chance. Look at the sun up in the sky. Look at the beautiful trees and the animals. And this is basic for what the Christian will say. Well, I have something to tell you. Did you know that's the way God wants you to say it? In the scriptures, God says the same thing. The only thing God says about his existence are very elementary when it comes to somebody not believing in him, and he keeps it elementary. He makes nothing complicated throughout the whole Holy Scriptures. He says in one scripture, raise your eyes up high and see who have created all of these magnificent things. You see, he keeps it very elementary. Also, he says the foolish one has said in his heart there is no God. See? Elementary. So when I get to these debates and they're using all this technical talking and all, I highly disagree with it because you're not keeping it simple. If you want to know the existence of a spiritual creator, does he exist or not, compared to we just hear by chance, then keep it simple so all can understand it. Why branch off into or metamorph into a conversation where nobody really can really follow your footsteps and what you're trying to say, and then have something elementary in it by saying, so what? So what? So what? That's not the argument that's going to prove your theory correct by saying, so what? You have something very elementary saying, so what? But everything else is very complicated to distinguish. You know, it's just it kind of makes you wonder, you know, are you trying to look intelligent or are you trying to prove your point? You know, and that's the point itself. You see, forget about atheists that they don't believe or spirituality. Exactly, sweetie. Spirituality. Forget about all of that. What are you trying to do? Look intelligent, or are you trying to prove your point? You know, God keeps it simple. Look up high and see who has created these things. He names. He says, "I created all the stars," and He named all the stars have a name. All the stars in the sky have a name. You see, simple. That alone should tell somebody, hey, there is a possibility that there is a creator here. You know, there is a possibility. Life can't just happen by chance. It's impossible for life to happen by chance. It's impossible. The thing is, in life without a negative, you have no positive. Without a positive, you have no negative. That's just the way it is. Cause and effect. If I wake up in the morning, I woke up. Now, the cause was that, the cause was that I'm asleep. The effect of me being asleep is that I woke up. If I sit up in my bed, the cause is what? Me laying in bed. The effect is me sitting up in bed. That's life. Everything is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So when you look at creation itself, you can't have an effect without a cause. You can't have a cause without an effect. So when we talk about something being here, matter, for instance, it has to have a cause. It can't have an effect. There's no such thing as that. Now, we also have to realize that as human beings, our brain is limited. We can't really conjure up the questions that we have. But what we can do is make things difficult out of things that's very simple. I could go to the store and get a piece of candy or a piece of cake. And I could say, I went to the store and got this cake, and I'm holding it in my hand. Now I'm going to make it difficult. Why did I go to the store and get this cake? And why am I holding it in my hand? Maybe I'm holding it in my hand because I want to eat it. Maybe I don't want to eat it. Wait a second. I want to eat it or I don't want to eat it. If I eat it, I may gain weight. If I don't eat it, I won't gain weight. Thus, why am I holding it in my hand? That doesn't make sense. Wait, you mean to tell me I'm holding this cake in my hand, now I'm branching off something way off the topic of me going to the store and getting a piece of candy? You see the point? See, that's the human thinking. Simple is always the best avenue. When you look at, is there a God, is there a creator? The Bible keeps it simple, so we should keep it simple. Even though we don't understand certain things, even if we don't understand it, it's safer and more informative if we keep it simple. Because we as people complicate things when it doesn't need to be complicated. Like I gave the analogy of going to the store, get a piece of cake or candy, whatever. See, we could complicate things and we don't need to do that, but we do that. Why? That's one of the life's biggest mysteries. Is it because of God that don't exist that we do it? Is it because that He exists that we do it? You see the point? Now we just made something complicated that fast. Certain things we have to just accept because, you say. Case in point, you have a child. Explain to your child, I don't give a damn if they're not of age. I don't care about that. Explain to your child things the right way, like you would talk to an adult. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. And so you see the point? You will say, no, certain things I don't want you to know because you wouldn't understand it. Does that mean God exists? Does that mean you exist? Does that mean that your intelligence is limited? You see? You want to keep things simple with your children. You want to keep things simple with life in general, rather than blow it all out of proportion. Does God exist or not? God exists because we are here. Some people say we are here just out of cause. We just came to be. We just came to be. You can't argue with someone who who thinks like that. You really can't argue with them because they're going to go on and keep saying we just came to be. Okay. Stop eating food and see won't you stop pooping. How about that? Stop drinking water and see if you stop peeing. See, if you get a new puppy, a new dog, you say, I don't want to feed him too much because he's going to poop too much. I'm not going to give him too much water because he's going to be pissing around too much, you see. So you monitor how much you give your animal. Or you could do yourself. I don't want to drink too much liquid because I know when we go to the show, I'll be running to the bathroom. That alone tells you that God exists. You see the point? Think about it. They live in a world where we all came to be like the Big Bang now. How could the Big Bang be true if you're thinking like that? Logic. That's logical thinking. I'm not going to drink too much because if I go to the show, I'm going to piss too much. Logical thinking. Is that the Big Bang thing? No, I could drink all I want, and who knows? Maybe I'll pee, maybe I won't. You see the point? That's how we can tell God exists, by logical thinking. It's that simple. I'm not disagreeing with the meaning they had. That's not what I'm disagreeing about. But it's the complicated aspects of it I'm disagreeing about. Then going back to elementary by saying, so what? I disagree with that part. Yet and still, it still was a good seminar. We still had like an hour to go, hour and a half to go in it. But of course, I don't want to be on the air that long because I know y'all got things to do and so forth like that. And I don't want to keep it. But it's an interesting concept of me coming across that and the atheists against the Christians. Now, if you get on the street of these street evangelists, you will hear them screaming and hollering in each other's face. And the atheists somehow will look very powerful there, very powerful. But for some, but with that being said, what we just saw right here, I'm not switching the subject like a light switch or have you, but he looks more like an atheist than a Christian, having "so what" on his T-shirt, and the way he was coming off, calling the atheists his brothers and stuff like that. He should be trying to win them over in the belief that there's a creator, saying, atheist and Christianity, this, that, and the other, that's what I'm saying. In the foundation of what he's saying of this, that, and the other is, who knows? So what? You see, I didn't know it was going to go in that direction, and that's why I cut it off. If it was in a more positive direction, I would have left the fucking thing on the damn thing. I would have, but I don't think that's going to amount to nothing, because I'm looking at the way he's going about his lectural debut. And we not even hearing his other two team members who professing to be Christians. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to that bullshit because I already see where he's coming from. I'm not saying it is bullshit. It's not what I'm saying. But it's like in the first chapter of a book, you know if it's going to be a good book or not or what have you. I don't want to, we're not going to spend too much time with that, because I get the sense of where that's coming from, where that conversation going at. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, they all could be. That's what I'm going to say. Also, me too, sweetie. They look like they all part of the same team. They just doing some kind of campaign. I don't know. Then you had a camera angle that was in the auditorium where people were leaving or laughing. I mean, they were looking at the camera, laughing, shaking their head. And I don't understand that either. If this is supposed to be a serious debate, then why was people doing that? I don't understand. Why was people looking at the camera laughing? See, it's a lot of nips and gags that's out now. We don't know what's real and what's fake. You know, we didn't get to the end of the show. Maybe they was going to ask for something near the end of the show. I don't know. We didn't never get there. I could have fast forwarded and we could have said, okay, let's find out what what's the scenario of all of this. Are they going to ask, well, what, you just come out, debate, and that's it? Or is it the scenario of, okay, we want y'all to come to our church or ask for a donation. There's always a catch. You know what I'm saying? I didn't look and see, but people were looking at the camera, laughing, grinning, really questionable face expressions as they was leaving the auditorium, which gets me questioning the topic itself as well as the performance itself. I'm not going that far as saying this, that, and the other, but you have to question such things, which I did when I went to go see the movie The Island of Dr. Marvel, The Island of Dr. Marvel, whatever. And it's the movie with Marlon Brando. The Island of Dr. Marlon Brando. And I start laughing in the end of that movie, and people was in the audience with pen and paper in their hand taking notes because it's based off a true story. And they say that's how Afro-Americans got here in the first place. That's how Afro-Americans got here in the first place. And then at the end of the movie, I started laughing my ass off because they got to be fucking kidding me. Then some guy beside me was taking notes. He looks at me, and he just started laughing himself when he saw me laughing. Like, yeah, I kind of get it. It is kind of humorous. You got to be fucking kidding me. But people believe that Island of Dr. Marvel. If you don't believe that's how Afro-Americans got here, or what have you, that's your decision to believe some ridiculous, spontaneously laughable content like that. That's your decision, and you free to indulge in that kind of philosophy entertainment, which is, in my case, was very, very laughable. Val Kilmer did a good job in it. Marlon Brando did an excellent job in it, but they saying it's a true story. That's going way too far. But nonetheless, guys, stop laughing. Y'all who know what I'm talking about, stop laughing. Nonetheless, I do debate. I do question this topic that we're discussing. I didn't know it was going to be like this. Perhaps I knew. If I knew, I wouldn't have never put it on the show. I probably would never put the shit on the show, dude. That's how I'd rather not be all that. I'd rather be myself and fuck all that mature bullshit. I just think it's fucking with my head, and I just can't fuck with that, man. I can't do it. I just can't do it. But I can't help. That's what I'm saying. But we can't help but just have comments on it. That you gotta be kidding me that this took place here. And this guy, he don't sound like no damn Christian guy. See, he did not. Right. It was debatable the things he was talking. Half the stuff I could barely follow him. There's nothing wrong with having very precise esteem, but let people know what's behind your door, because you are a door up there talking. Can you please open it up so we can see a little bit more clear? And then going to wrap it up with saying, so what? Why God allows killing on the planet Earth? So what? What the hell is he talking? That's not a Christian who would say that. Christians don't say that. I understand why he presented it. He did make explanatory answers, but that doesn't hold sway to why he, that didn't define in a more generic reason why he's using so what. That's bullshit. That's something that I believe that a spiritual person should not fucking use, because it's a very a mind-swaying statement or phrase that could throw somebody off of a conversation, whether you're using it in a positive way or a negative way. And to have it written on your T-shirt and calling yourself a Christian, I beg to differ. What, the T-shirts for sale? Is that the fucking thing after the end of the That tea is cold, but it was very good. The tea was cold, but I'm drinking some tea, but it got cold on me, so. I'm glad I'm glad it wasn't a podcast, for Christ's sake. They get really open and rough, the podcast, they could get really fucking outrageous. So, I guess it's open for debate, rather, if you believe in God or not. It's just simple. Keep it simple. Do you believe in God or not? Keep the conversation simple. Everybody can follow it more clear. A lot of people don't. A lot of people do. One thing's for sure, we all gonna find out. That's guaranteed. So you can't hide from the fact that, say you don't believe in God, and you're never going to find out. That's bullshit. You're going to find out. You're going to find out when you die, or when God resurrects you to a state of judgment. You're going to find out. But how you going to find out if you're dead? How you going to know? Or you're going to be dead and you're going to say, I'm right? Or you're going to be a dead corpse and you're going to just say, I was right, there's no God. So you can't really justify in death you're going to find out there's a God. But at the same time, you could justify in death that you're going to find out there's no God, there's a God. So that itself should be debatable. It really should. I don't know. No. Look for the silver lining whenever clouds appear in the blue. Remember, somewhere the sun is shining, so always look for the silver lining. Try to find the sunny side of life. Ain't it the truth? I guess that's going to do it for this episode of The Colony. I think so. Well, if I known it was going to be like that, we would have did something else. We would have did something else. Nonetheless, some of you guys might have enjoyed it. If you did, I hope you did. But I didn't get one note. I got my pen and paper here, and I didn't get one note. They said, yeah, motherfucker, we look at The Colony, we don't write down one of the... So, hey, we all some stupid asses in. Nonetheless, let's go and wrap it up with the poem. But first, stop laughing. We want to thank Lizzie, the newest Amish girl, for the newest Amish girl, Lizzie, We're going to welcome her, not thank her. Why I keep saying thank? I'm one thanking ass. I created her. Why don't fucking me thank you? What the fuck is... Alright, we want to welcome Lizzie, for goodness sake, to the colony, guys. Okay? And there'll be another Amish girl at the next gathering. And we're going to close it with the Rashid Porter poem. And here we go. My eyes see, but I am blind. My heart beats, but I am dead. With my hands I touch, but I cannot feel. Nonetheless, we're underwater, and yet we breathe. Keep breathing, guys, because we're going to around here. And in turn, we all going to on the colony, because we're one group. And until we gather again next time, stay safe. And I'm trying to think of what to say about that seminar we just saw. But I don't even know what to say about it. But so what, I guess? Don't say so what? I don't know. But, yeah, I'll see you guys next time, okay? Let's just leave it at that. I think it's safer. Alright, take care.